Hello and welcome back to RailRoads Online. So today we are here, have picked up a few new pieces of rolling stock. So we did grab a box car and another flat car for the steel pipes. Did turn around and hook up the rest of the stack of the tier 2 cars, so we do have all 8 of those back together. Going to be trying to run a little bit of a longer stack today and see if we can actually get the oil field up and running. Will be our goal. We did just turn around and bring the train in there from the iron works out there and turn around and hook up the tier 2 cars there. Oh, in fact, we're gonna also turn around and do a little bit of track maintenance here. We didn't actually hook up to anything yet, so there's that. And then we have to turn around and do a little piece of track maintenance here while we're at it. Figure we might as well get rid of this switch in here while we're back here. And I forgot about that process here, so let's get rid of that. That was put there in case we decided to do the turnaround on that side of the dock. Don't think we're going to do that. We have it worked in now nice on the other end there, so we might as well get rid of that. Though we could put in another holding track. Gives us plenty of room for expansion if we wanted it. Easy place to put in a switch anyway, so still there. Or if a person wanted to change things around, kind of like to put in the switches or options for switches just in case. I find it easier to put them in when you're originally doing it. Always seems like it kind of throws things for a loop when you end up cutting into a line. Not always throwing things for a loop, but you can really turn around and change just the way that a track lays by having to delete it to put it in a switch. So I do like to pre-put those in whenever I turn around and think about maybe having an option someplace. Like I say, I always find it easier to just go get rid of them. Suppose we can make this a lot easier. Just come back this way. We can see when it hooks up. Not going over 10. Not going to worry about the impact. Well, who knows? Hopefully it doesn't bunch us up. Good to go. Move along. Now we will have the boxcar here. Basically for a caboose. Also obviously for tools. Tools and pipes, not going to be big to have to move over a bunch at one time. We go through a lot more wood beams out there, I think, than anything else. So, trying to get focus on those out there, and we'll kind of see how the mix burns when we get these dropped off. And we'll know going forward if we want to add another flat car in here or two. We do have another flat car sitting over here, minding its own business. So actually, if we go out that way, and one way or another, we're going to end up backing the train up. So either we pull it out and bag it down, or we bring it in and then we bag it out. Yeah, it doesn't really make a difference. Either way, we'll maneuver it around probably when it's empty. And then we'll just pull it out loaded. Alright, chop down the speed there. That way we're not going too crazy when we actually get into the switches here. Not that this rail really seems to do pretty well no matter what. You really don't need to slow down much for this one. Pretty smooth railroad so far. How we doing there? Still got plenty of logs. Haven't had to do much there. I have to say that is the one drawback with running on the easy, is you just end up running so many fewer loads, or you need to run fewer loads, so it really makes the XP. I think it's harder, honestly, to run it Sounds weird. It's harder to get more stuff out, but I think actually playing through the game is harder if you leave it on easy the whole time. Unless you're just gonna run to the depot. If you're just running to the depot, then you can dump money anywhere, anytime. And once you start moving around coal or whatever else, obviously you take out the whole huge. I mean, it's not hard to make money in XP in the game if you want to. It just depends on how you want to play it. But not a super big challenge. And eventually you get to the point where it doesn't really matter unless you're stocking up for big, huge locomotives anyway. Personally, I think they put the big ones up a little bit too high. Takes you quite a bit of extra running or deliveries and whatnot to get to them. So sadly, I know enough people who do this don't get to those big locos often, unless you sit on the same save file, and then the 4 maps don't do you a lot. They were cool, and the big gap was cool, and we all had tons of XP and built out maps and everything else. But what's our caution? What are we out of? Well, we're full on everything, so that's what it's cautioning us. It's all full, can't do anything. All the crazy pop-ups that you can get about that. I suppose it'd be having a cow. All the pop-ups turned off. Alright, slide this thing forward here. The wood beams that we need. Nice thing is these are going to load up really nice and fast. So it won't be too bad at all. Should actually hit that sooner. Wouldn't have had to stop the train. Alright, keep it moving this time. Hit that one late so it doesn't try to drop onto that car. Stop now, so you don't go too far. There we go. Whoa, 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 whoa. Now we're losing it. For sure. Slamming around the brakes and the gas. Sure way to derail some cars. Oops. Stop. Let's just stop before we have any kind of problems. Not that wasting a little bit is going to hurt us. It would not. Alright, one more move. So much easier to load cars nowadays for the single player. I couldn't say that enough times. Get that on there. Sweet, everything on board for now. There we go. Finally starting to run low on some wood. We'll be able to not run low. I guess that's not running low. That's still half. That's over half. We're not running low. Still don't need wood brought in. There we go. Getting to be a little bit of more sizable of a train there. Can rip this out of here. Of course, the back of the train's still not over the switch. Probably didn't need to go crazy there or over the cross. There we go. Bite it down and let it run now. This loco doing plenty of speed. We also have quite a bit more load on here, so I would assume it's probably going to run a little bit slower. But maybe once we get chugging, get up there. Definitely taking more power to get there. trying to find that sweet spot. Uh-oh. Sweet. Remote switching saves the day yet again. Yeah, the old days we'd have been backing up for sure there. Trying to haul through the station here with about as much oomph as we can manage. All the brakes are off on this, so again, this is just the weight of the train slowing it down. Even though we are on flat ground. Plenty of power, plenty of water. All of that. We're just looking at rail friction and weight. Making the Class 47 work quite a bit harder here. Maybe if we add a little bit more, it'll go. I don't know. I don't really think so. I think that's just about what it's going to run with the load. In whatever configuration they're in. This is a super fast locomotive, fastest one in the game, from the best I know of anyway, pretty much. And yeah, I mean there it's grabbing a little bit, but definitely affected by the weight. It's the fastest thing when it's light. See, now getting quite a bit more speed in it. I haven't changed anything either, so. Rail, which is weird because all this is pretty much flat, but goes to show you pretty much flat curves and anything at all on an incline obviously going to affect the speed of the train as well. And it just seems like every once in a while splines in different places on the maps affect things differently as well, so there's that, but that's, you know, whatever. It's running fine, it's doing the job, and it's getting it done. That's all that matters, really, at the end of the day. This run actually came out pretty good. Pretty happy with that. Decent look to the run, for sure, smooth. You know, normally I would put in a connecting Y here, or a lot of times I would put in a connecting here, so this is really just a Y going into the oil field, same as the time of swinging out here. In this case, it's like we're just going to pick everything up at one time, so we don't really need to worry about it because it's going to route us around. And again, trying to keep the rail to a minimum here, so there's just no real point in adding it to save a little bit. If we have to do a little bit of extra running, we're going to do that. That's kind of the idea with this railroad. This one really has turned out to like very minimal track. Even having the holding and stuff like that, very minimal. I wouldn't anticipate people having too much of a hard time running this save. Just about a full layout at this point, but not a lot of track having to go down. Alright, we're going to move this up to here. Memory serves me right, the thing only holds 30 steel pipe anyway, so the idea is just going to turn around and move over one and make it easy to keep track of what everything does. Alright, let's see if we can get those on there. 9 of these per car, if I remember right. Just gonna skip that along, get it going a little faster, as we do still have a pretty long load in the tools. That one, long load time, even today when we have picked it up so much faster. There we go, there's our 9 on. Interesting, now we're not hearing the whistle. Alright, let's creep the train forward here. Go ahead and move up the reverser, looking for that low torque. Slide this up and we should grab Some tools here. This deadhead we will be using, and all the rest of them on here we used. Nice simple racetrack layout on this. Makes it easy, 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 easy. We will try to get the whole trailer full, or wagon full here. Have to be on this side if you want to swing the crane. Won't do it from this side. You have to be looking at the crane. Ooh. There we go. 6, 9. This is just so much faster. It used to be a little, you know, set the thing to start loading tools and go, literally go lay some trackers, do something. In the process of it, because it took so long, now that you can skip along the crane and everything else much, much faster, 3 at a time. I know when the 3 at a time thing came out, it was really a shocker. I don't know that too many people saw that coming. We knew we were, you know, something was going to be done with the loading. Obviously, we expected kind of remote loading like this, but the whole 3 at a time, I sure didn't see that one coming. So that was like, whoa, way faster, way, way, way faster. Though I would not complain if the tools loaded in a different way than a single crane. But I myself like the mine chutes. I like the ones you can just turn them to dump and let them dump. It's kind of nice. Or if there were just an auto load feature, you could pull it in the train and it would load. Alright, there we go. Loaded up and ready to go. There should be plenty on board here for this little local. Almost looking like it wants to spin the wheels there, honestly, which would be cool. A little heavier load on there for it. But at this rate, it's kind of like the Class 47 is about all the locomotive you need for Pine Valley, at least to get through it. Not saying that obviously you could definitely run bigger trains and whatnot, but you can run even fairly steep grades and get away with running just a Class 47 on Pine Valley. All you really need. Saved us a lot of money actually getting to this loco and not having to turn around and waste a lot of money on other things. We had about 6,000 when today started after buying the rolling stock. Not sure where that totally puts us. Probably a little bit under 5,000, around 45, 47 probably. Somewhere in that neighborhood. Alright, first test run through here, so let's take it a little bit easy. As we're not, you know, who knows. We should have got everything and everything should be okay, but you never know. Yeah, decent train there. Boxcar makes it nice on the end, as far as just knowing that you have the whole train there. Alright, we are going to go over that way first, come back, and we'll get on the, that's fine. That'll work. That'll work. It'll give us a chance to get around the whole horn. Make sure everything's working. This, I think if we have anything that's a little bit of a hitch, is that's pretty steep, but again, it's for loading cars, so I don't think that's going to be too big a problem. We'll have to see how that plays in when we get the oil going on. A little bit of an incline there, we know. Nice little cruiser on the wood-infested shack. And we're at 50 here, so not going to worry about too much coming around the turn. We might get a little bit of weeble and wobble, but I don't think we're going to get any kind of falling off. Nothing gonna turn around and derail back there anyway, I wouldn't expect. Looks like our boxcar is still with us. Alright, rolling in to the station. Alright, this... We just want to chill. These do not have a huge drop zone, but these don't take a heck of a lot of time to get off of the train either, so we are just going to kind of kick them as we go. Or hopefully... Hopefully it all works out and we don't waste too many. I'd be lying if I said I never dropped a few of these in the wrong place. Alright, everything's sliding in there. Yep, that all works. We got the pipes too. The pipes cost a little more, so probably should have been a little more careful there with those than I was. And the tools are definitely worth a little more, so we will totally pull up to a stop there for the tools. And while we're at it, we will... Let's turn around and take a look at how much money we have. So 5,006. So right back up to about where we were, so that's cool. Dropping off the pipes and the beams alone, turned around and pretty much paid for the one flat car and the box car there, and then the box car here will be all profit. And we'll see that 30 a box. Yeah, 30 a box. What is it, 15 on the XP it looks like? So 15 on the XP, 30 on the cash. Obviously, tools going to pay off pretty good. I mean, that's like $1,000 car of tools right there. 500 on the XP. Cannot complain with the tools. The only kicker, I guess, a person could complain about with the tools is you really don't burn a ton of them. And by a ton of them, I mean, you don't burn a lot at all unless you have the dredge going on. You got that gold dredge going on. That thing burns tools. So 6,000, so we're up almost, yeah, we're up at least $1,000, and that's after buying stuff. So we're up a couple grand, 2,500 bucks or something off of that train there. Pipes were out of, looks like we went through half the beam, so we can add one more car of pipes, it looks like, and it's going to work out pretty well. Still have some tools, obviously. We'll always be working towards the positive, but we don't need to fill that all the time. So one more car, one more flat car, or we stick the flat car that we already have in there, and then we do the pipes, and that'll get us to where we need to be. At least a little better fill rate. But for the most part, I think that is going to get the oil fill definitely started. Put some oil in there, quite a bit on easy. I mean, just one load, we have 144. Yeah, fill up 10 cars of crude right there. So definitely going to get the job done pretty quick and easy. Going to call it a win. Say thanks for tuning in. Remember, if you get a chance, like, share, subscribe. Subscriptions are free, but they sure do help the channel. Y'all have a great day.